Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Welcome to A Drink with Derek. Derek Richards, your host here in Las Vegas. Chilling out, relaxing, really chilling out. It's like 30 some odd degrees here this morning. It's ridiculous. I didn't move out here for this. You got to be kidding me. Anyhow, super excited to have my guest on. This is going to be a fun episode, only because the podcast is called The Drink with Derek. We have over 100 episodes that are out there. By the way, go on YouTube and see all the episodes. This is like episode number 120 or 121, something like that. But go on there and see all the people that we've had through the past couple of years. It's been an absolute blast. Can't thank the folks over at CTVA for having us on board their platform. And big thanks to producer Sean, who was amazing. Thank you for doing the great job that you do, my friend. Again, go on YouTube, see all the episodes of A Drink with Derek, and also go on your favorite podcast platform to download those if you're going to be in the car, driving around, listening to them. Huge thanks to our sponsor, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Couldn't do it without these guys. Go on their website. If you're going to bet sports, you need to get with these guys. All right, they do all the legwork. They do all the research. VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Find them at VegasBets4U on social media. And the big game coming up here, Super Bowl, right around the corner. Type in the promo code Derek35. Save 35% on any package that you decide to get. Doesn't need to be a big package. Can be a small one. You go ahead and pay for their picks and you save 35% and you will make money with them. I guarantee it. Also, my album, Double Down, snag that. Available wherever you download stuff. iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon, recorded live at the Laughing Comedy Cafe in Fort Myers, Florida, where I will be in the middle of April. So super stoked about that. Also, the Irish Comedy Tour starting up here on March the 3rd. You can check us out online first. Amazon Prime is where I would recommend, since everybody has a Prime membership. Go ahead and watch our special, and then come out and see the show. We're going to be starting off in Old Saybrook, Connecticut on March the 3rd, and then roll into Schenectady, New York, Peekskill, head down to Florida for some sunshine, then up to Boston, and then Pennsylvania, and then the west side of Massachusetts, New Jersey, and then Pennsylvania. Again, theirishcomedytour.com is our website. Now, my guest today, we have a couple of huge drinking holidays coming up here. Valentine's Day. People drink on Valentine's Day. If you're in a great relationship, if you're in a bad relationship, you drink a lot. If you're in a great relationship, you're having fun and drinking. And then, of course, St. Patrick's Day is coming up here as well. My guest today is going to talk to us about alcohol, its effects on your body, what you can do to help yourself, to help recover from the quote-unquote alcohol abuse. This is going to be a lot of fun. My guest, Sanjeev Javia, is a nutritional product developer. He has an MBA from the Thunderbird School of Global Management, also a biopsychology degree from the University of Michigan. He has nearly 20 years experience formulating nutritional products. He's developed entire lines of supplement product. He's worked with Super Bowl MVPs, Stanley Cup champions, World Series Hall of Famers, and Olympic medalists. He is the co-founder and CEO of Pros Nutrition. Find them online at pros.com. Sanjeev Javia is here with us on A Drink with Derek.
I'm Mike Elliott, and you're watching CEO Roadshow. Today, we're joined by Mr. Sanjeev Javia. He is the chief nutritionist for Splash Beverage Group. Splash Beverage specializes in the manufacturing, distribution, sales, and marketing of various beverages across multiple channels, and their stock trades under the ticker SBEV. Good morning, Sanjeev. It's great to have you on the show.
Hey, morning, Mike. It's awesome.
So let's start off by talking about your background. Tell us how long you've been a formulator and what types of products you've worked on during your career.
Yeah, so I've kind of had an interesting track. I've been formulating nutritional supplements for 18 years. And so the products that you see with Tap Out are one of my 95 formulations that I've put together. And I've specialized really in kind of the performance space. I started my first nutritional supplement company in Denver, Colorado. And we had our claim to fame was we had 600 professional athletes taking our products, and we were in 40+% of the locker rooms in hockey and baseball and football and basketball. And so I did a lot of my work kind of in that performance space and developed all types of products, from vitamins, minerals, to protein drinks, to hydration drinks, energy drinks and such. And then I actually went and did some clinical work with one of the top sports medicine orthopedic groups in the nation, actually in the world, the Steadman Hawkins Clinic. And that's where I did some of my study in performance nutrition, as well as various disease management states like diabetes, obesity, autoimmune, post-chemotherapy, and neurological issues. So I've just had a lot of interesting clinical work, as well as kind of the practical sense of how actually athletes recover, how they hydrate, and some of the things that are really important for them.
How do you have all this energy? Seriously.
It's all
Sanjeev
these
Javia.
vitamins.
It is all these vitamins. I've never once have I seen you in a bad mood or look tired. Never. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're pumping in your system. Obviously, it's all the good stuff at Pros that you're developing here. But so excited to see you. Last time we had you on the podcast, it was when we were about a month and a half into when the world ended. Back during the pandemic, yes. And we were talking about all the stuff that you should take to help supplement your body to help build a better shield for yourself against COVID-19. And I can't believe we're still talking about it now, to be honest with you. But I can't thank you enough for being here. Sanjeev Javia, Michigan graduate, most importantly. Go Blue.
Yeah, baby, go blue, go blue. And yeah, no kidding. It seemed like forever ago with that post-COVID nutrition, but just the other day, 3 weeks ago, I ended up getting COVID, and then having to use a lot of that knowledge and a lot of those tips, to get over it. But, as we talked about, even on that podcast, is that the best way to be healthy is to prepare to be unhealthy. You know what I mean, right? Like the more that you can do ahead of the game is going to allow you to recover better and to get back on your feet after you have that Sunday, beat up on the game day, if you will. You know what I mean? So
now let me ask you, what did you take when you had COVID? This is actually interesting that you ended up catching it. You're one of the healthiest people on the planet that I know, and obviously it's going to affect everybody differently. I mean, if you're, a chain-smoking alcoholic who's 500 pounds and drinks gravy as a beverage, it's going to affect that person differently than it's going to affect you, who has probably a BMI of like 3%, and you're constantly taking vitamins and supplements. What did you take to help you get through COVID?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, here's the thing is that, there really is, and I did a ton of research into this, obviously, right? And if you really look at what the post-COVID nutrition is, it's the same thing as the pre-COVID nutrition. It's the same things that you should be doing on a daily basis because, just because you've been infected by a virus of whatever sorts and your immune system is now overwhelmed. It's not compromised, it's overwhelmed. And so you need to kind of help it along. And so the same things that are healthy for you on a daily basis in which you're constantly getting attacked as well too, but your immune system, you want to make sure your immune system doesn't get overwhelmed, are the same things you do after. So some of the really simple things, number one, goodness gracious, just rest, just sleep. Okay. Right. There's no more powerful medicine than rest and sleep, because all of the things that happen during sleep are those physiological kind of, medicines that are there to, really defeat any type of, virus or pathogen or bacteria or illness or whatever that you have. Second, you need to keep flushing the system. And so you need to keep, hydrating. And one of the things that is really valuable in that hydration phase is these electrolytes, and these electrolytes, the sodium, potassium, calcium, magnesium. The reason why they're so important is because they do act as kind of the the cofactors that allow all of these healthy reactions to take place. And then thirdly, it's what are you most deficient in? And some of the things that are really valuable, especially that most people are deficient in, is vitamin D. So some of the really key specific nutrients that I took a lot of vitamin D. So I'm talking like 20 to 25,000 IUs of vitamin D. I took a lot of vitamin C. So I took, about 3 grams of vitamin C a day. And then I took things like, these are things that are not well known, but they're out there. Now they're becoming more and more well known. There's a nutrient called quercetin that actually a lot of the research for COVID prevention and post-COVID in the East is taking place. And so that was really valuable. And then just getting really good, healthy nutrition that was really easy for me to digest. So that's why these soups and things like that are that's why they have so much kind of folklore to them, is because you're basically trying to make sure that all of the energy that your body has to use is for the fight of this kind of, virus or whatever it is. And so if you take less stress off the digestive system, if you take less stress off the liver, as we'll talk about here in a second, as you take less stress off of, muscles and things like that, that's why rest is important. It's just basically diverting the energy that you have to helping you to get to recover faster. And the thing is that everyone is going to get COVID. Okay, right? I mean, that's how viruses exist. And so no matter how it's not about, oh, I'm so healthy, so you're not going to get it. It's, oh, I'm so healthy, I'm not going to face the significant symptoms or severe symptoms as other people are. It's about the recovery. Everything's about the recovery. It isn't about the, oh, I'm going to not be infected. That's just silly to think that way,
Right. No, it's crazy. I mean, things that you're deficient in. If you ask a number of women that I've dated, I'm deficient in kindness, empathy, and listening. So is there anything I can take for that?
Yeah.
No?
I think you're just Netflix is probably the best thing you're gonna be able to do for that. I think I would just cuddle up right to Netflix. I think that's the closest thing you're gonna
I love it. You've had before we get into talking about stuff involving alcohol and its effects on your body, I want to go because you've had just a tremendous career. You really have. I mean, you and I have talked, and we've known each other for a number of years now. You were roommates, if I'm not mistaken, Stan, with Tom Brady at Michigan. And yep. he was playing games. I remember, and you could have cared less about going to the games. I remember you telling me a story one time where he was heading out. You're like, and he's like, hey, Sanjeev, you going to the game? You're like, nah, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, back then, so at the University of Michigan, you were fortunate to have a lot of guys that particular year to just go pro, right? So whether it was Tom Brady or Brian Griese or Marty Turco or all of these guys, and I guess that I've never been a really big fan of watching sports. I just don't see that as really all that exciting. I love playing sports, but watching it just seems like it's just a waste of time, if you will, outside of the Super Bowls and the playoffs and things like that. So yeah, I wasn't necessarily the guy that would like show up at every game or anything like that. It wasn't a big thing for me. It wasn't a big thing afterwards. To see him after the game, game and go out and drink and have a good time, that was always a lot more fun.
So Tom retires, and one thing that blew me away, I'm surprised that he did retire. Did you call him when he retired? Did you shoot him a text and say, hey, congratulations? I mean...
No, it's interesting. I've always done this, is that, the first, week or 2 weeks, even the month, you just get a flood of like texts and calls and things like that, right? And so, now that I don't talk to him as frequently, right? And so it's one of those things where it's just like, after a while, everything settles down. And then it's like, hey, congrats, as he always knows, on a great career and the legacy that he's put. But more importantly, it's this new level of performance that he's put into the league. That's what people don't recognize about guys like Tiger and Tom and others. And there's not a lot of them, because basically they elevate the game, not by necessarily how they play. They elevate the game by taking it to like a new level of what you should do, like how much commitment that you should have and how much dedication that you should have, and the things that they do with their body specifically. Obviously, I'm always focused on that. And so it's that now you've got all of these, kids coming into the league and realizing, hey, man, I really need to think about, what I eat and how I take care of my body, and all the things that you should do that are really, really healthy and good for you, right? Because not all of us are going to be the just genetic freaks, you know what I mean? Where it doesn't matter what we do in the off season, we'll still be able to be like one of the top players in season. There's only 1% of them, and Tom's not one of them. Tom's the 99%, who is a guy who works his tail off and does all of the right things, and it ends up, turning into a lot of great things on a game day,
Well, I can't imagine him ever sitting down with a pile of chicken wings in front of him. I mean, he just always has been so, since I started really paying attention to what he was doing as far as keeping himself in top shape. And I always laugh at these people that were, the commentators, the talking heads that were making comments about him, and like, oh, well, he's not super ripped, he's not all muscular. I'm like, no, obviously what he's doing, this TB12 program, focusing on flexibility, has kept this guy an elite performer for 20 plus years in the league. He won 7 Super Bowls, 44 years old. He could easily not retire. He could go back and play, I think, probably another 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, truly. I think that he could. And it's because of the fact that he's been preparing for playing for another 3 or 4 years for 20 years.
Right.
And so this doesn't happen because he's doing great things for himself this year or last year or the year before or 5 years. All of the things that he was doing when he came into the league and the focus that he had at the very beginning is what allowed him to get to his 22nd year or on his 22nd year. And so I think that's one thing to recognize. And secondly, is that it doesn't serve his purpose. And see, that's the thing that people don't, you don't have to be Tom Brady to know what a sense of purpose is. Okay, right? And so if all of a sudden your sense of purpose is that you want to achieve great things and you know that you need your health to do that, and you need your wellness to do that, and you need a high functioning, mind to do that, then it's not that he doesn't want to eat the chicken wings. It's not that chicken wings are unhealthy, but it just doesn't serve the purpose. And so that's how you got to think about all of this, is that, some people are more aware of their purpose, and then they then build a pathway to get there, whether that be their nutrition, whether that be the people that they hang out with, whether that be the education that they receive, whether that be whatever, the environment that they place themselves into, everything they put into alignment because they have a clear vision of where they're trying to get at. So I know you hear that all the time, and they kind of say it in this kind of joking manner, like, oh, he would never eat this, and oh, that's so crazy that he would do that or this or that. Well, it's not crazy if you just realize this guy, I mean, you hate to say it, but I guess this guy just has a greater sense of purpose than you do.
I think that would have been the perfect discussion on his exit interview when he retires. It's like, Tom, how did you maintain this level of status for 20 plus years? He's like, I just have a greater sense of purpose than you do. Take care, bye. And then just walk off the podium. That would just be such a tool bag move that I know he would never do because he's such a class act. But yeah, that just cracks me up. You've had an extensive history with a number of athletes that you've worked with through your nutritional products and so forth. Sean, go ahead and pull these up here right now. Some of these pictures that we had gotten from Sanjeev. This is you with Phil Mickelson.
Yeah. And so this
now, what
was
was
really
this?
great.
How did this relationship start? What did you do with him?
Yeah, so actually, this related to kind of some things that we were talking about today. It was about losing weight. It was about getting healthy. Right? He had was obviously getting older in his career. He is a super high level performer. He knew that he had a lot more in the gas tank than what a lot more in the gas tank, and so he was basically needing to optimize everything that he was going to do, and nutrition was kind of one of them. So it took him to say, okay, listen, let's put a little bit more focus on nutrition, wellness. Let's start eating the right foods. Let's start eating it at the right times, really looking at what is going to allow him to achieve just more longevity in this career that he can take on for another 20 years. That's the great thing about golf. That's different than football, right? Like literally you can play at a super high level, which he's shown, for another 20 years for him. Easy,
Yeah. No, exactly. I mean, you don't get beaten up in golf as much as you do in football. I mean, unless you're riding with Tiger Woods and the car flips over.
That's
never
that's true.
That's kind of tough.
That's exactly right. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on. Next,
cause your own accident. Yeah.
next picture. Who do we have here?
Yes, so this is Jason Kidd here, and so this was actually one of the brands that I have formulated. It's called Pros. I developed a gum, and that's what these guys are chewing here. And that gum is for focus, clarity, and concentration. And so he was out there on the course, using some of my products. So that's pretty cool.
That's great, Jason Kidd. Who's now? What's the next picture that we have here? This is. Okay, who's this?
Yeah, Wyndham Clark. Wyndham Clark. So Wyndham is a up and coming, and he actually is already there. PGA golfer, just has been doing fantastic, and so he's actually one of the endorsers for Pros. And then he also has some digestive issues, as well, that has kept him from being able to feel really good every day, which, as an athlete, like you want to feel as good as you possibly can every day, because either you're playing or you're training. Right. And so we really helped to kind of build a better digestive system, and therefore he's getting a lot more greater health because of that. Right. So.
Oh, it's fantastic. And who do we have next here? Pull up the next picture. Oh, George Brett.
Oh, yeah. Old school George Brett. Yeah.
Oh, Hall of Famer. Hands down, one of my favorite baseball players growing up as a kid.
Super great guy. I mean, super great guy, and still as intense today as he was, I'm sure, playing baseball. And so again, like all of these, I focus on nutrition. I focus on wellness. And so either you're going to get a guy like Tom, who is going to focus on it beforehand and say, hey, listen, you know what? Like, I know how important this is, and so I'm going to focus on it now. Or for the most part, you get a lot of people who focus on it later. And later is a time in which they're like, oh man, this career, this time, this energy, this mobility, this whatever is fleeting. So is there anything that I can do to kind of slow down the progression? Right? And so, you got Brett, who's an amazing golfer, who's saying, listen, man, I'm done playing baseball, but I can golf and I can move and I need to travel and I've got a lot of business stuff going on. And so he's trying to, be an all-star in that as well too. And he is, so.
Great guy. And I think the next picture that we have here is, look at that. Bob and Brian Greasy.
Yeah, this is super cool. So obviously Brian's been one of my best friends ever since college. This was when he was inducted into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame, and his dad obviously there, and his wife Brooke. But yeah, I mean, here's the thing too. It's like, he may not have been as intense about his health, because around the same time that Tom focused on it, but he was still super, super committed in getting the most out of what he had, because all these guys, they're bubble guys, right? They're sitting on the bubble. Okay, right? They're not guys like Peyton Manning, who knew he was probably going to be in the league for a while. These guys were just, they were fighting for every year, if you will, right? But now what ends up happening is that these guys, because they're brilliant, they really are brilliant. I mean, the really top athletes, very few of them are not, as I would say, geniuses, if you will, right? And after they get done playing, they end up doing huge things, like Brian's Monday Night Football commentator, ESPN commentator. He has a huge foundation that raises millions of dollars every year for bereavement and grief and loss. I mean, he's just powerfully affecting, society right now in the things that he does. And so he's just wanting to, remain as sharp as he possibly can for as long as he possibly can. And that's what you do,
So any chance that, you and I are good friends, we've hung out. I mean, next time we can hang out with Brian or Tom, just, can I show up? You know what I mean? Just, I'm not going to be, the pain in the butt guy. Just want to say hi, meet him, talk for a little bit, and then I'll exit.
Yeah, everybody always says that. And so I'm not
but I mean
it.
But I'm oh, come on. See, the fact that you even doubt me on that saddens me. That really makes me sad.
I'll have them watch the show.
Okay.
I leave it up to them.
Absolutely.
Here's the thing that I do. I don't. Here's how you continue to have great friendships like this: is that you let them decide. I don't decide.
Yeah. No. Yeah. If you want to maintain good friendships, don't bring Derek along. It's going to cause you nothing but problems. All right. Well, these are fantastic pictures. Thank you for sharing these. Now let me ask you something, because as I mentioned during the intro, we have a couple of big drinking holidays coming up here: Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day. So alcohol and its effects on your body. This podcast I've been doing, called The Drink with Derek, started with the idea of when I would hang out with people at the bar and they were like, I'm going to go hang out and drink with Derek. And our conversations just with friends of mine and people that I would meet just ended up going into a million different directions, and it's always been a lot of fun. So what I thought I would do is bring somebody on like yourself, and I wanted to obviously show that you know what you're talking about, that you've worked with these people as far as nutrition. People should go back and watch the episode that we did during COVID about your nutritional recommendations going through the whole pandemic. I had a lot of friends of mine that had contacted me afterwards and said that was just stuff they had never thought of before. And the one thing that is so cool about you and people when they follow you on social media at AskJeevers on Instagram is your videos and your presentations are always so broken down to where anybody can understand it. And you never seem to talk above the level of the room, which I think is a tremendous quality for anybody to have in the field that you're in. Instead of just throw and say, listen, take this because of this. You break it down and say, listen, take this because of this, because this is how your body is going to adjust to this certain nutrition coming into you. So people are drinking. What does alcohol do to your body? First and foremost, obviously we know it's not quote unquote good for you, but what does it do to your body?
Yeah. So I think if there was one word that can be used for alcohol, is that it just happens to be one of the more inflammatory types of nutrition that you can put into your body. So it's basically going to create a lot of, toxins and toxins when it's broken down. And those toxins then the body has to deal with. And how it deals with it is through its immune system. And the immune system uses this kind of, process called inflammation, which is good. Inflammation is good. But the thing is that when people consume so much toxins, that inflammatory response, it ends up having a lot of inflammation is not good. And then a lot of inflammation for a long period of time is not good. So when that happens, you start breaking down areas of the body in which those toxins were located. So when you're drinking alcohol, let's just take three simple places. So you drink alcohol, you drink it, it goes into your digestive system. So as soon as it goes into your body, it starts creating these toxins, which now is creating this excess inflammation, which now this inflammation is going to start breaking things down. So now you get a breakdown of the digestive system. So what does that mean? So all of these things that are in the digestive system that are there to break down foods, to absorb foods, to utilize foods, they are now broken down and they degrade. So now you can't break down food. You can't metabolize food. You can't utilize food. You don't start absorbing nutrients. And that causes a bunch of issues down the road, which is, now you are nutrient deficient, right? And now that you're nutrient deficient, you can't produce the processes that allow you to be healthy. So that's one thing. Okay, so then it goes from the stomach and it goes to the liver, right? Because the liver needs to kind of, metabolize everything that you consume, everything you breathe in, everything that you drink, everything that you expose yourself to is going to first be processed through the liver, then get into the bloodstream. So then you've got all this toxic stress that is on the liver. So then what happens? The liver starts to break down and it doesn't function as well anymore. So because it doesn't function as well anymore, the other toxins that you put into your body now don't get broken down and metabolized as well. So now those toxins are through the body. Now all of that is seeping into the body. And so now you've got this long-term issue where the other things that you are putting in your body that the liver was supposed to clean can't clean anymore. It's like a dirty filter, if you will, right? And then you've got, the alcohol then going into the bloodstream. Now it goes in the bloodstream and now it's all through the arteries and the veins and things like that. But all of that is toxins, right? So it starts breaking down those areas as well too. And so now you're getting these kind of, nicks and cuts in these blood vessels, and then you get plaque formation, and then the arteries get really hard. And so then you get high blood pressure. So all of those things are kind of, this is why they say that alcohol is something that is so unhealthy, because it's one of the things that is very systemic. Like when you take it in, it goes all over. It just doesn't kind of locate in one place and kind of break down this one area. It just starts getting everywhere. So that's why it's so dangerous, if you will,
Now, you talk to certain doctors, and certain doctors will say that there's a healthy amount of alcohol to take. Now, let me ask you this before I ask you what would be a healthy amount to ingest. What is the worst alcohol that you can put in your system?
Well, I think that it's not all of the alcohols. So whether the alcohols that you have liquor, you have beer, you have wine, and then there's like this classification of spirits, if you will, like the rum and things like that. Okay, right?
Sure.
All of those alcohols, the actual alcohol, there's not, one is not better than the other of the alcohol. Okay, right? Of the actual alcohol. Now, there's other things that are added into that alcohol that then cause it to be worse, or maybe slightly better. Like, so let's take, for instance, you've got vodka. Think of that as like just pure alcohol. There's nothing else in there except alcohol. There's no other nutrients in it except alcohol. Okay, right? So I guess the great thing about that is the fact that it's low in calories, and it's just low in calories, and it's just the alcohol. Okay, right? You've got wine that has the same type of alcohol, except it also has, like, everyone always talks about this resveratrol, right? There's a nutrient that's from these grapes that is heart healthy. You can buy resveratrol little tablets.
Right.
So does that make it like a little bit more healthy than the vodka? You know what I mean? Right? Like not much, really not much at all. I think that the thing that makes an alcohol good or bad, in my opinion, is what you add into it. So all of a sudden now you take the vodka and you put a bunch of sugar in it because you got a bunch of
Right.
mixers. And now you just jack up the calories. Okay, right? And you jack up the
Right.
sugars. I think that's how you got to look at alcohol is, what you're actually adding onto it. And I think that the biggest thing that makes alcohol more unhealthy is these sugary kind of, mixers. That's what I would
Yeah,
stay
if you
away
add
from,
like Coke to rum, I mean, rum is already sweet enough as it is. I mean, that has a ton of calories. But yeah, you start adding Coke to rum and, you do, whiskey and 7. I mean, now you're adding 7 Up to it. So that's increasing the, because I know what's so funny
Margaritas,
is, oh,
daiquiris,
yeah.
margaritas, daiquiris, these things. This is where all of a sudden you start consuming. See, because here's the essence of what you're trying to do. Okay, right? Is you're trying to, if you've already made the commitment that you're going to drink alcohol, okay, right? That's fine. Okay, right? So the next thing that you want to do to try to create some level of healthierness or whatever is just reduce the calories. Don't worry about anything else.
Okay.
There's no other kind of like, oh, adding grapefruit juice is healthier. Having the resveratrol in the wine is healthier. Having amaretto is worse because it's got, no, forget about that. All that stuff is negligible compared to the calories that you're going to add into the drink. So the least that you can add into the drink, the better it is going to be for you.
Now, let me ask you this. This may not have any kind of a scientific answer. This is going to be a Sanjeev answer. What alcohol causes the worst decisions? Go.
Gosh, the ones that you can drink very easily, right? And you can drink a lot of. And so probably for me, it would be vodka, I would say. You know what I mean? Right? Because I can drink a lot of it and it can be quick,
You can make it healthy, make a Bloody Mary by you throw enough olives in there and celery and pickles, and now you got a salad.
That's true. That's true. That's exactly right. That is one of the ways, great point, to make it a little bit more healthier. Yes.
Now, what can people do? So you go ahead and drink. I mean, I enjoy drinking Irish whiskey, as you obviously know from our time together. What can somebody do to help their body afterwards? Obviously, you hear about things like milk thistle that helps, cleanse the liver. Is there anything that someone can take to help out their system after they've gone ahead and just beat the crap out of it?
Honestly, no. I mean, there is. I know, I get that. I see all those types of nutrients out there and those things. But if you really look at the science of it and you look at the research of it, no, there's nothing that you can do that is going to neutralize, number one, any of the drinking that you do. Isn't necessarily going to significantly affect, the liver. Let's say that's the number one thing in a more beneficial way than simply just rest. I mean, that's the thing about the liver, right? The liver is an organ that regenerates. Okay, right? And
Right.
so it's a recuperative liver, right? But it does that with time. Okay, right? And if you just give it some time, it's going to recuperate better. There's this new, there's one nutrient called NAD plus that they've been researching that has shown some promise actually, and it is used for individuals that are addicted or have addiction issues. And what was really interesting to read about that was that the reason why people have a tendency to drink more when they're addicted, so one of the reasons, not the only reason, okay, right, is the fact that because their liver is so impaired, they're not able to metabolize the alcohol as quick. So what ends up happening is that they end up not having the same effects of the liver or of the alcohol that they were drinking. So they tend to consume more of it. So what they're basically trying to do is they're trying to say, okay, if we can get these livers healthy again, then they will metabolize it better, which then will cause them to drink less of it because they'll have less of an effect or whatever, right? So
Interesting.
that was a bit interesting. Yeah, it was a bit interesting. Yeah.
Well, now you always end up hearing the story. Now, going back to where a doctor will say, it's good to have a couple glasses of wine. Now, is there a window for that? A couple glasses of wine for breakfast, and then a couple glasses of wine for lunch? I'm just trying to justify my issues. And so I just need your help, Sanjeev. So what is a healthy amount, or what is an acceptable amount of alcohol for your body? And I know that's going to change from person to person.
Yeah, so basically, you're right. It does change person to person. I think that the number one thing is like genetically, some of us will metabolize alcohol faster than others will. So that keeps alcohol in the bloodstream or out of the bloodstream and things like that. But the regular kind of, what the standard out there is that, 2 drinks a day for a male and 1 drink for a female is what is considered healthy. Okay. Or not healthy, but yeah, I guess
Acceptable.
maybe okay, acceptable, right? But honestly, buddy, I'd love to be able to justify your drinking,
Right.
Right? But the thing is that there's really no research in that, right? And there's nothing in that. There's even that, to what you mentioned earlier about that, they would say that moderate drinking helps.
Right.
It makes you healthy, and they would talk about how alcohol helps to thin the blood, and because you thin the blood, you increase circulation. It's a vasodilator and stuff. That really doesn't hold up either.
Really?
There's not. Oh, that really doesn't hold. It was kind of like picking up. When they pick apart bits of like some research study, and then
Sure.
because it's something that is more, who wants to read a study that says alcohol is unhealthy, right? No one's going to turn that page. But if it's alcohol is healthy, someone's going to read that, and it becomes sensationalized, and the doctor gets all this press and all that sort of stuff. And that's really what it was, is that, I think his name was Dr. Ellis or something, he just comes out with this research and says, hey, listen, moderate drinking is healthy, and it shows that it reduces LDL, it increases HDL, it does all that sort of stuff. But then when you really dug into the research, it did not show that at all. And they didn't really, control other factors that would relate to somebody that would, right? But here's the thing, okay, right? One of the things that alcohol does do, okay, right, is that it does help individuals to feel good, like meaning that they enjoy the ritual of having that whiskey, okay, right? They like the taste of it. That makes it allows them to have some memories or whatever. It basically puts them in this place of joy, if you will, okay, right? And there's a great health benefit in that. There's huge health benefit in that. And I would even say that there is greater health benefit in being in a joyful place than the toxins that you're putting in to get there, if you will, okay, right? To a limit. And I think that's where this kind of, 2 drink for a male, 1 drink for a female really has some validity, is to say, you know what, like a glass of wine for some people is really, really going to help them to relax and chill out because they can't do it on their own. And I get that. And it also brings back a lot of great kind of, memories and feelings. And so great. It's just that if you start relying on that for that purpose, that's when it gets tricky, right? When someone says, hey, listen, no, literally, I cannot relax if I don't have a couple glasses of wine.
Right.
Then you basically, whoa, now you got a problem because you have an innate physiological emotion that is innate. Like you can produce that. Okay, right?
Right.
But you can't do it anymore without this. That's outside. That's a problem.
No, definitely. Well, now say I'm on a date and my date does not drink. So could I technically have her one drink along with my 2 drinks and still be okay?
Yeah, I don't think you can
Think about that.
transfer credit. Yeah, I don't
You
think
can't
can
transfer it.
credit.
It's not like rollover minutes on your cellular plan.
Yeah, no, unfortunately not.
Let me ask you if there's any scientific answer to this. I know certain people drink certain alcohols and it reacts to their body differently. Like for me, I can't drink scotch. Scotch, for whatever reason, and I drink Irish whiskey all the time, but if I drink scotch, I just want to punch somebody. And it's so funny because like certain people can't drink tequila because for whatever reason, it reacts with their system and it makes them do certain things that they don't want to do. Is there any reason why certain alcohols are like that?
Yeah, you hear that all the time. There's so much anecdotal evidence with this, right? But no one knows why that's the case. They bring
Crazy.
there's no physiological there's nothing about that gin, if you will. Okay,
Right.
right? That would make the one thing that they do say is they say that maybe certain alcohols you may metabolize differently, which then causes you to have more of a response as if you drank more of a certain alcohol or whatever. And then the second thing is they've said that it's kind of like an experience thing. Like at one time you had drank this alcohol, it made you do this because you had this situation, and now you've got some memory connection that says when I drink this alcohol, I'm going to behave in this same way. But again, they're just trying to figure this thing out because you're right. Anecdotally, you hear that all the time, but there's no science to it.
That's so bizarre. Now, is it? I always feel infinitely better if I'm going out with friends and I'm having cocktails. If I'm having my whiskey on the rocks, I'll have a glass of water, and I will just be constantly drinking the water while I'm sitting there during the course of the of the evening. Now, is that the science behind that? Is what that it is just helping kind of flush your liver during this process, or is there no scientific reason why that works either?
Yeah, no. The only reason it's doing 2 things really. Number one, it's basically for people that are habitual. They need something to drink. Okay, right now
Right.
instead of drinking whiskey, it's whiskey, glass of water, whiskey, glass of water. So it's okay, right? And so they're essentially drinking less whiskey. Okay, right? And then the second thing is that there is the added benefit of the fact that we know that alcohol is a diuretic, so you're going to lose hydration and water, so you're just bringing water back into the fold, where if you didn't, you would just be dehydrating.
Right. Now, I talk to people that when they're trying to lose weight, and they always end up saying the first thing that comes out of a nutritionist's mouth is, do you drink? Stop drinking. Now, I know friends of mine will drink beer and they're like, I'm trying to drop some weight. I'm going to the gym, but I'm still drinking beer. Or somebody says, I drink wine, and obviously it's just a ton of sugar. Is there any way for you to still drink and lose weight in a healthy process? What I'm saying is, in other words, like, listen, I want to drink, but I'll just eat celery sticks. I mean, is there any way to try to augment the alcohol intake with the nutrition that you should be taking and things that you should do with your body to still be able to kind of lose weight? Or is that just always going to be something that's going to stay with you? Because I know obviously age doesn't help with that, metabolism. I mean, I remember, being younger, in my early to mid 20s, and you could just drink whatever you wanted and eat whatever you wanted, and everything just metabolized itself away. So, is there any way to go ahead and still be able to have cocktails and and lose weight.
Yeah, for sure. Because here's the thing, okay, right? Is that it's not the alcohol that's causing you to be overweight. It is the number one, the amount of calories that you're consuming that's causing you to gain weight. It's the possible time in which you are consuming those calories that's causing you to gain weight. It's the fact that this particular thing that you're bringing into your body, which is alcohol, is reducing some inhibitions and maybe even some reasoning, which then causes you to consume more food or certain foods afterwards or during. See,
That's my
you
life
have to
story, by
look
the
at
way.
the context of what's happening. The reason why you're gaining weight is because there's a lot more context to what happens when people drink alcohol. And there's not a ton of research that slows down, that it says that it slows down your metabolism so significantly that you're going to gain weight. It's not, so it's not
Right.
like, oh, you drink alcohol and your metabolism goes from burning, 2,000 calories a day to 1,000 calories a day. And now you've got an extra 1,000 calories that haven't been burned. So therefore you start gaining weight. That's not the case. Um, uh, Drinking alcohol, will it slow down the breakdown processes of fat or whatever? No, it doesn't. But what it
Right.
does do is, like I said, you end up, this is why drinking is such a problem. This is why eating white pasta is a problem. This is why, having too many oils is a problem, is because you can consume a lot in a very short period of time that doesn't fill you up. So
Right.
that's the problem. If you ate 300 calories of broccoli or 300 calories of a whiskey, okay, right? You're going to be able to drink the 300 calories of whiskey a whole lot quicker than eating the 300 calories of broccoli. So the problem it's not going to be filling at all. So you're going to stay hungry. So then you're probably going to have another glass of whiskey. Now you got 600 calories.
Right.
See, that's got a
Interesting.
thing.
See, now people need to think. Now you got St. Patrick's Day coming up. Broccoli's green. So have 300 calories of broccoli with your whiskey. That's exactly what I'm going to do. That is how I'm going to get through my St. Patrick's Day. Is going to be whiskey and broccoli. That should be the name of your book.
Yeah, it will make you definitely a lot more healthier this St. Patty's Day. And so you might even lose weight this St. Patty's Day, the first time ever.
That would be the first time ever. I'll be honest with you there. Your company now, pros.com, PROZE.com. I just looked at the website. You are constantly throwing stuff on there. We've got, in fact, if you go to the website, PROZE.com, this you recommended. We were conversing before the interview. One of your products that I have here that I take is Pros Shield. Now, you said, because I was asking, I go, look, is there anything that somebody can take to help their body out? And you said Pros Shield is probably one of the better things that you can do to help your system. What is in Pros Shield? I know it has CBD in it. What else is in this that you can say helps you, that just helps your body overall?
Yeah, so basically, so what Shield has is it has CBD, yes, but it also has three different other ingredients that are called adaptogens: reishi mushroom, ashwagandha, and turmeric. And the reason why these are important is because what I was saying to you earlier is that if there's one thing that alcohol does really, really well, is it creates a lot of inflammation in the body. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to, manage that inflammation, and you're trying to curb that inflammation. Well, the entire premise of Shield is to focus on managing inflammation and reducing excess inflammation and allowing your immune system to actually manage and adapt to toxins like alcohol, as well as other things like pathogens and bacteria and things. it to, become more resilient and to not become overwhelmed. Because as we talked about earlier, that's really the issue. The issue is that the immune system becomes overwhelmed. And so then it can't do its job, which is to fight off toxins such as alcohol or viruses such as COVID or bacteria such as food allergens or whatever. And so then now you've got the symptoms when something doesn't get managed and taken care of, right?
Right.
So that's the really cool thing about Shield is that, you've got a very concentrated system, if you will, that is going to deal specifically with inflammation. So as you said, you were like, well, what is the one of the products that would be helpful? Well, it's anything. If someone's drinking, anything that is going to help to reduce their inflammation is the best thing for them. So
Right.
whether you take less in or whether you add something to the body to help to manage it, that's what you want to do. If you want to stay healthy and drink, then you already know that there's this one piece called drinking that's going to create a lot of inflammation. What are other things that you can do in your life to reduce inflammation so that you don't get to that limit?
Well, and one of the things too that you mentioned earlier was rest. And I have a horrible time sleeping. And I actually had gotten the package that you have on your website, pros.com, which, by the way, PROZE.com. Type in the promo code Derek20 and you get 20% off your order until St. Patrick's Day, March 17th. So I'm giving you some time. I'm giving you some time to go on this website, sample this stuff. This will be great because you can sample it. And I always say this too, because people always make comments. It's like, well, I tried this vitamin, I tried this, I tried that. I don't know if it really works. I'm like, listen, I always just say, try it. And if you like it, keep taking it. If you don't like it, then forget it. So I think in this case, this gives you an opportunity to go to pros.com, try the product and see if it works. The product that you have that has helped me immensely with my sleep issue is NODZZZ. So I'm assuming it's NODS. Okay, cool.
Nods.
That also is tremendous. It's like 6 sprays under your tongue and it's fantastic. That has helped me not kill so many people at the airport. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Your product saves lives.
I've saved lives. There you go. That's great. That's we're all trying to make a difference out there. You know what I mean, right? And so, Nods is our number one product. We've been so successful with that. We actually even have people will send us their sleep data, and they will show that they're getting into sleep faster. That's an issue that a lot of people have. They end up laying awake for a long time. Secondly, the number one thing people have issues with is actually staying asleep. And so they end up waking up a lot during the night. That disturbs their restful sleep. And then the third thing that it does, obviously, is because you're getting good, healthy sleep, but in the right areas. So in the right stage 3 and stage 4 areas, you're actually waking up refreshed and energized. Because, one of the things always people will say is like, oh yeah, I sleep, I take Ambien, or I take NyQuil, or I take Tylenol PM. And I'll say, but how do you wake up? And they'll say, well, I still wake up groggy and kind of tired or whatever. And it's because, sleep is really whether you're going to get the right cycles of sleep and spend enough time in the right stages of sleep. So when you start working with the body rather than sedating the body, you're actually going to be able to get those stages and those cycles and such. So it's been super, super successful for us. And it's funny because, it deals with the roots of why people don't get those cycles in that stage. And one of them is inflammation. And it's inflammation due to high sugar levels at nighttime, because a lot of people will eat sugar and carbohydrates at nighttime, such as alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And so it manages that inflammation. And then secondly, it manages our nervous system, because our nervous system is oftentimes, like people will say, oh, I'm so wired at night, right? Like it's really hard for me to unwind. So it manages your nervous system. So it calms your nervous system. And then the third thing that it does is that another thing with drinking is that when you drink is alcohol is really easy to get to the brain. So it crosses the blood-brain barrier very quickly, right? Well, the problem with that is that alcohol, it starts breaking down, like I was telling you, things, but one of the things that it breaks down is hormones and neurotransmitters or signals. Well, a lot of those hormones and signals are sleep signals. They're the ones that are responsible to tell your body that it's time for you to sleep. So with people that drink alcohol, they end up not having enough of those signals that tell their body that it's time to sleep. So we address those three specific areas. And when you address those three specific areas, you get kind of this natural process that the body will now go through to get really good, healthy sleep. So yeah, it's been a huge success for us. And we love it because, like I tell you, sleep is medicine. So I don't care what health issue that you have, the better sleep that you're going to get, the healthier you're going to be, the better the opportunity that you will have to actually be able to get out from whatever disease or illness or injury or insult that you have. So,
well, people need to go on pros.com, check out the website, check out the package that they offer with Shield and also Nods. You can get them both. You get a great price on both of them, and you get 20% off. Type in the promo code Derek20 until St. Patrick's Day. So stock up. So buy a bunch of it. Buy one out of the gate, and then buy a ton afterwards. Before we let you go here, I went through my kitchen, and I pulled out 3 random items, and I'm going to have you tell me whether I should consume it or toss it. All right? And any reasoning behind that. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
to wrap things up. By the way, Sanjeev Javia, thank you so much. Pros.com, PROZE.com. Just don't ask. You can go to Ask Jeevers, by the way. Follow him on social media. Just don't ask him to hang out with Brian Greasy or Tom Brady because you saw the reaction he gave me. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. We got coconut water.
Coconut water. Yes. So great beverage. Awesome because coconut has a high amount of potassium, which is really great because that is a very difficult electrolyte to get. And usually we focus so much on consumption of sodium. And the thing is that for you to get proper hydration, you have to have a balance of sodium and potassium. So that's the cool thing about coconut water is that, it's going to add that extra sodium where other types of beverages, Gatorades and things like that are going to focus more on sodium, which you get enough from the foods that you eat. Thing you want to be careful about these coconut waters is they will start adding things into it, and so just be careful of the sugars and the calories and things like that.
Okay, next item here. There we go.
Spam. Okay, so yes, Spam, the wonder meat, if you will. Yeah, you know what? I think that the time of Spam has gone. There's just so much ability to get nitrate-free deli meats. I'd stick to that.
I think this time has gone. I think this one's still good till March of 2023. So I still got time to make my decision. And finally, last item.
Ooh, Powers. What is that? Is that single malt?
Irish whiskey. Powers John's Lane single pot still Irish whiskey.
A definite keep, because it makes you who you are, and who you are is pretty wonderful, Derek. So anything that keeps the Derek thing going, I'm all up for. Just in moderation.
Oh,
Just
man.
like you need to do in moderation, you need to drink the things that make you in moderation. So
exactly. Sanjeev, I can't thank you enough for being here. Again, go on pros.com, check out the products on there. Nods and also Shield, I highly recommend because I have personally taken them, but there's so much stuff on there. If you have questions, go ahead and contact them. Sanjeev or one of his panel of people over at the company will be happy to answer any questions that you do have. Derek20 is the promo code to save 20% until St. Patrick's Day. And please tell your dad I said hi. How's he doing?
Oh, I will, man. Thank you so much for saying that. He's doing fantastic, buddy. He is, man, 82 years old. He is more lively and sharp as a tack. I mean, that's the guy where every once in a while he'll be like, I don't really know if that's I don't know if that's really works or if that really works or whatever. And I'm just about to like defend it, and then I'm like, well, he's 82 and he looks fantastic. I think I should probably follow more of what he does rather than, all of these other kind of, pundits and stuff. But yeah, he's fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Oh, your old man's great. Please give him my best. Sanjeev Javia, pros.com is the website. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
You bet, buddy. Take it easy, Derek.
Oh, you're great, man. Super cool. Cannot thank Sanjeev enough for hanging out with us here today. So hope you walked away with this learning something about your alcohol consumption. If you enjoy having a few cocktails, again, go online, pros.com, type in the promo code Derek20 to save 20% on any product until, I almost said December 17th, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. Also, hey, check us out. We got the Irish Comedy Tour coming up very, very soon. My album, that's coming. There we go. Check it out on Prime Video. It's absolutely free. You got all the other platforms there too. Vudu, DirecTV, Dish, the Irish Comedy Tour 1 hour special. And see us when we come to a town near you. TheIrishComedyTour.com is our website. And also snag a copy of my album, Double Down, wherever you download your music. iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. And again, huge thanks to our sponsor, VegasSportsAdvantage.com. The big game is coming up here. VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Type in the promo code Derek35. All I'm doing is saving you money, and making you healthy. Promo code Derek35 at VegasSportsAdvantage.com. Save 35% on any of the packages that they offer. And again, thank you so much. Follow me, DerekRichards.com. Also, theirishcomedytour.com. We will see you on the road. We will see you here next time. Take care. Bye.
You're watching Conservative Television of America, working hard to stick socialism where the sun don't shine.